A writing group is one of the best things you can do to improve your writing. Having a small circle of other writers who can give you ideas and encouragement that you can bounce ideas off of and get feedback from is a really great way to make progress. But writing groups present a few challenges. Chief among them is finding one of the damn things. Finding a writing group can be a very difficult thing to do. So in this video, I'm going to give you some concrete steps to help you not only find a writing group, but find the right writing group. These are things that I've found to be effective ways to connect with other writers, and hopefully they'll help you too. But before we get into how to find a writing group, the first question you need to ask yourself is whether you actually want to be part of a writing group in the first place. I don't think a lot of people realize how much work being part of a writing group actually entails. I was pretty seriously involved with a weekly writing group for the better part of a year, and I recently backed away from it, even though it was a great group. I just found myself at a point where I was too busy with other work, and I really didn't have the time to devote to this writing group, so I took a step back from it. That, and I fell off a climbing wall and turned my left ankle into gravel, so I had to take a step back from a lot of things. Well, not a step, but more of a hop, I guess, because ankle. A writing group is a lot like sex. A lot of people go into it only thinking about their own needs. They don't think about the work that's involved to make the other person happy. And this is especially true if there are 3 or 4 people involved, which is often the case in a writing group. You need to be prepared to put in the same amount of effort for other people's work as you expect them to put into the feedback that they give you on your own work. Providing insightful feedback for 3 or 4 different people every single week is a lot of work. Even just doing it for one other person is a lot of work. Depending on how a writing group is structured, that could mean reviewing several thousand words of other people's writing every single week. Don't discount how much time and effort that takes. You will get out of the group largely what you put into that group. The best writing groups are very reciprocal, so be prepared to put in a lot of effort. So if you are willing to put that effort in, how do you go about finding a group in the first place? Unsurprisingly, finding a writing group means finding other writers, and here too, I think you need to be prepared to put in a lot of effort. There are a lot of places online that you can go to find a writing group. There are critique sites that facilitate writing groups. There are forums and message boards where people will sort of advertise for writing groups. There are a lot of relatively easy places to connect with people who want to form a writing group. Now, this can work. There's all kinds of people out there who have found really good writing groups online, but I think looking online for a writing group presents a few challenges, and it can be problematic for a few different reasons. First off, because a lot of these ways to find writing groups online are very convenient, they allow you to connect with a lot of people. That's good on one hand, but it also means that they draw a lot of people who don't want to put a ton of effort into finding a writing group. That in and of itself is not a bad thing, but I would say that the most serious writers out there, the ones that you would probably benefit the most from having in a writing group, probably aren't looking for a writing group on the internet. These are people who've worked to build relationships with other writers. They go to conferences and take courses. They reach out to people directly. They do networking to find other writers. That's the hard way to build relationships. It's a lot harder than just going online to try to find people, but it probably leads to higher quality relationships. Another reason that the internet isn't great for finding a writing group, and this is probably going to upset a lot of people, but here goes, is that a lot of people who spend a lot of time on the internet don't have the sort of social skills that you need to effectively work with other people in something like a writing group. This is by no means true of everyone on the internet, but there are still people you will encounter like this. You will hear a lot of horror stories about drama in writing groups when egos clash, or people get criticism that they don't think is fair, or people who aren't tactful about delivering their criticism. I've seen and heard of people who were friends for a long time who ended up not being friends because they tried to participate in a writing group together and it didn't go very well. There is all kinds of BS and interpersonal conflict that writers will get upset about, and you can have a writing group that goes sour really quickly because of this. Navigating those kinds of situations requires a lot of social intelligence, a lot of tact, and a lot of experience interacting with people. Now, if you're connecting with somebody who spent most of their entire life on the internet and they don't have these skills, then that might not be a good situation. This gets to another point that I want to make, and that's the best people to be in a writing group with aren't necessarily the ones with the most amazing writing skills. You want people who are good communicators and are consistent and willing to put effort in and are able to deliver feedback in a constructive and helpful way. Those are the people you want to be in a writing group with, not necessarily like the best-selling authors out there. Just as an example of this, the group that I was in recently had a quite diverse mix of writers in it. There were a couple of people who were working on like the first novel that they've ever written, and there were also a couple of people who had published several novels and won some local writing awards and stuff like that. So there was a mixture of very new writers and very experienced writers. I probably fall somewhere in the middle between those. But how good the feedback is that somebody gives and how helpful they are in the group does not necessarily correlate with how much experience they have in writing or publishing. And I got all kinds of very useful feedback from the people in the group who had very little writing experience. And I also got a lot of great experience from the people who had published and won awards and things like that. What you get out of a relationship with somebody in a writing group has more to do with how they deliver feedback than with how good of a writer they are or if they've published or things like that. This is why I highly recommend you don't look online for a writing group, because the writers who are best able to handle the sort of emotional rigors demanded in a writing group are the ones who probably already have solid relationships, the ones who have organic networks of people in their lives. I'm not saying that you shouldn't necessarily look online for writing partners or a writing group, but just understand that you might have more difficulty finding a good writing group by looking online versus other places. So what are some of the places that you should look? What are some of the ways that you can build out your own network of writerly contacts? I think the best recommendation I have here, probably the most concrete thing you can do, is to find some kind of fiction writing course that's held ideally in person at like a college or a university that's kind of in the city that you live in. A lot of these colleges and universities have like part-time adult learning programs where you don't have to like enroll. You can just take a course and they're usually fairly reasonably priced. The point here is not necessarily the course itself. You might not actually learn that much from the course. That's not the point. The point is to meet other writers who live nearby to you. These are people who are interested in writing. They're interested in learning more about writing. They're willing to put the effort into taking something like a course. And a lot of them are also probably looking for a writing group. Another thing that you can do is check your local bookstore or the branch of the multinational bookstore that has a branch in your city. A lot of these stores will have like a local authors section, and there's probably a few small-time or self-published authors who are local to you. If you can find out who these people are and you can meet some of them at like a book signing, or maybe reach out to them if they publish some kind of contact information and you can reach out to them without looking like a stalker, you can form some connections that way and see how things go. These people, if they're serious enough to publish a book and get it into a bookstore, probably know something about your local writing community. They might know about groups or meetups or events, or something that will help you connect with other writers. Again, I think this is a mistake that a lot of people make. They try to reach out to best-selling authors and try to get into a group or connect with them somehow, when the people who are probably a lot more receptive to being connected with are the small-time, potentially self-published authors, that kind of thing. Those are the people, if you want to make connections with other serious writers, those are the people that you probably have a much higher likelihood of connecting with. Ultimately, I think you need to understand that finding a good writing group takes a lot of legwork. You're going to have to do work, pound the pavement to find connections to other serious writers. And the work doesn't stop once you find a writing group, because there's ongoing work to maintain that group and provide feedback and keep meetings going and keep people engaged. So I don't think that pursuing a writing group is something that you should do lightly. Unlike the conclusion of this video, which I pursued very lightly by not writing one at all. So there you have it. If you have any insights or methods that you use to help you find a writing group, please share them in the comments down below. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can check out all my other writing related videos and subscribe to my channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.